Hey everybody, it's Neil with the Dastardly Gentleman. And with me I have Frank. Say hi, Frank.
Hey guys!
Alright, are we doing this? Are we live
Yeah, we
actually?
are actually live this time.
Oh fuck yeah, dude.
Fuck
We're like
yeah.
27 minutes late to the podcast, but finally
We
we
had
got it,
lots
thank.
of technical difficulties. I'm more or less sorry.
So sorry we haven't been around for the last couple of weeks. We've been moving, or at least I have, and Frank's been helping me. Um,
Moving.
I was adequately packed, and he came up from, you know, the the Louisiana area to help me out, and I appreciate that. And we didn't have really any problems other than his complaints of what was inside my fridge, and an apocalyptic storm from New Mexico. But other than that,
Yeah, the New Mexico storm where I almost died was definitely not ideal.
yeah, I was just fine. But yeah,
Not
Frank
a
almost died.
fan.
But other than that, we're good. So here we are, back in the saddle again.
Yeah. So
Man, you're
Neil,
supposed to.
what have you been doing?
I've been transgressioning. Is that the right word? Tra-
Transgressioning?
transitioning back into my Mexican state and tanning a little bit
Oh.
in this 120-degree weather.
Oh.
Uh, Back into my one-quarter Mexican roots.
I'm still trying to work on tanning my hands. Because right
Uh,
now everybody at work is calling me Frankie White Hands.
what does that mean?
And you can see it, but
It's kind of creepy.
like like it stops here because I went for a ride and I just kept I had my vest on. I've had a t-shirt and a vest on, and then I had my gloves on, so like I had like all that area uh, out to the sun, and it was like a 13-14 hour ride.
You know what I kind of just pictured when you said that? You remember that part in Akira where there's like they finally get to that, like, what was it, the clown boss, and he's just like riding like this.
Oh
Boo,
yeah.
boo.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, and then get into a massive motorcycle gang fight.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
get eaten by a pubescent child that has psychic powers. Please calm down.
Tele- that's telekinesis, Kyle. How about the power to move you?
You've got to move it, move it.
So, yeah, I mean, what's been going on in the world in the last 3 weeks? Something,
Um,
something about emails. I don't know. I.
what are you talking about? I haven't gotten any emails.
No, but yeah, we're doing this.
Oh no.
Apparently, somebody talked about emails. Mr. Trump Jr.
Trump, Trump and Fuhrer.
Trump Jr.
I mean, I wish I could have been the Trump team lawyer or been in the room whenever he saw the tweet. You know, like I just wish just because I just imagine him just being like, why? Why did you do that? Of course, I feel like that's probably like 90% of the time that the people in the White House spend.
The
Like,
fucking PR team.
yeah, the president is like, okay, I'm gonna go. I'll be right back. I have to step out for a minute. And then so he goes to the shitter because stepping out is what high class people do. They don't go to drop a deuce. They have to, walk away for a minute or have some leisure time. And
Yeah.
then just like everybody like immediately pulls their phones out and just waits for just random shit to just start like
You know what's funny is I
fake
used to do
news
that.
bleeding face.
That used to happen at my old job. It was that seriously, like, I mean, my old boss was a total asshole, not gonna lie. But we'd be sitting there working on computers on the bench and shit, and then all of a sudden the boss would go into the shitter, and all of a sudden our phones would light up with like Facebook posts and tweets and shit. And it'd be like, fucking gross, dude.
we're We're practically hanging out in the same bathroom.
It's like you don't hear from him all day, but all of a sudden he has to speak his mind when he's on the shitter. I mean, what do you do when you're on the shitter, Frank? I know I fucking just play Hearthstone or Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. What do you play? What do you do?
I throttle the Charmin.
It's like an interrogation.
Yeah.
You won't talk, eh? Well, let's see if this loosens your lips.
I know. I don't think that my lips could get any looser. I'm just saying. I don't think it could happen.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like, I'm afeared of an individual that our foreign policy is decided whilst on the shitter. Oh my god, that scared the crap out of me.
What happened?
I don't know. Something just cheered. I don't know what it was.
Cheered? Was it OBS?
I think so. I don't know.
Oh, somebody's hosting us.
Oh, yay! I just, like, my heart just stopped for a second. As I hear this, yay!
Somebody's hosting
What
us.
is that noise? Well, thank you
Oh,
for
man.
whoever's hosting us. Oh,
See,
and
that's-
your baby.
See, that's what happens when Neil doesn't host. Frank gets surprises. What is this thing? What have you set up for me, Neil?
What have you set up, and why does this one work and the other one doesn't?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, eventually I'll get my desktop set up, but until then, Frank's in charge, and I don't know how comfortable I am with that. I don't know how comfortable Frank is with that, but here we go.
I'm very comfortable with it. It's just depending on, like, now that I'm doing it, now that I'm in the driver's seat, what do I want to do to the shit that's gonna happen to this channel? Look at this. Look at these pictures. Look at this.
Look at this photograph.
Look at this, Fran. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. It makes me really happy. We could have moving pictures, and we could have Flickr shows. I mean, like, we could have some cool music, and then periodically Neil will show up.
Rude. I will be here all the time. All Neil, all the time.
All Neil all the time. I'd quit.
You haven't yet, bitch. We are what? Officially, like, I don't know, 12 months in, 12 and a half months in, and you still haven't quit? You can't quit me, baby.
I can't quit you. It's something about the salt, you know? I just can't quit it.
So, something a little less serious. We recently played Sniper Elite 5, was it?
4.
4.
Yep.
If you haven't played that game, it's fantastic. Anybody that loves to do a little bit of sniping in video games, that game is all about sniping.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got co-op, it's got deathmatch, it's fucking fantastic.
I love the co-op. I think what I also love about the co-op is that there are two people for a decidedly single player event, like just like a single player type game. And I think what's fantastic about it is that the other guy is pretty much not really there.
It's like there's a cut scene, and it's just you, right? It's like you, and you're like interacting and stuff, and the other person there is just like a clone of you, but not really there.
Well, there's like Captain Slickback America, and then there's Captain or Lieutenant Comb Over Nick British Man. I mean, like that's the other one is the British guy. He who shall not be named. Just because, like, I don't think every time I'm like, I mean, people indicate him through gesture. Like the other guy has got a name that I don't know what it is, but they're like the
You see,
Captain Fuck Knuckles, and then
I mean, it's such a minor fucking detail, and they solve this in the Halo series. Like whenever you do co-op in Halo and stuff, they would like very ambiguously talk to you, like they would say things that are both applicable to plural and singular. It's like, oh, we're gonna activate the Spartan. Like, maybe there might be one, maybe there might be two. Who knows?
release the Kraken.
But in Sniper Elite, they're like, hey, you.
It's always
This.
singular. Everything's singular. Like, Captain, you have to do this. And he's like, yeah, I'll get in there. And like the British guy's like, and I'm like, what? Hanging out? I mean, like, I guess I'll wait here. Oh, whatever.
And he's so fucking grizzled. He's like, yeah, I'll get in there and we'll take over the town.
I love how he's like, you want me to get in there and break it up? Just shoot everybody. Like, they're like, I mean, like, we wanted, some intelligence out of it, but, they're like, I always work alone, except in this case. I have a guy, and there's not a guy. It's
The
a new
guy.
guy. I'm running out of air here. I'm so sorry.
Like, what kind of gun do you have? I don't know what kind of gun this is. I only know the sound it makes when it takes lives.
I fucking love that line. Oh, it's so stupid. I like that in this game. I like the X-ray, and that I think that it, because I love that. I loved it. I've seen Sniper Elite footage before, and they always had the X-ray shots. But like this one is so much more gruesome, and I think a lot of that has to do with Mortal Kombat, because like the X-rays from Mortal Kombat are very, 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 very similar, in how very specific and gruesome they are, and this one is much the same, because I feel like between 3 and 4, where like Mortal Kombat had come out in between them, that it's become like they've become much more meaty.
I haven't noticed a difference between this one and the previous ones. It's pretty much the same. I will say, though, that in co-op mode, when the X-ray shit happens, you're just sitting around, where are the targets? And all of a sudden your buddy fucking gets a headshot, and then goes into X-ray mode. It goes, and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
It is startling. Like, when it happens...
It goes from split screen to that person's kill cam, and you're just like, oh, it's not me being shot. It's my buddy.
Yeah, and it's so loud too, because like you're crawling through the brush, and it's like, ooh-wah, ooh-wah. You like hear some drums like boom. I mean, it freaks me out every fucking time. Every fucking time it scares me.
Yeah, man. It never didn't scare me because I thought I was being shot at. But yeah, so we played a whole lot of that.
OG says, if you shoot Hitler in the junk, the X-ray reveals he has only one ball. That is phenomenal.
That is fantastic. I did read about that too. That is attention to detail.
That's too much attention to detail. Because you know that people are gonna want to shoot Hitler in the nuts. I mean, it's a given. I mean, we spent a lot of time trying to shoot people in the nuts anyway. I mean, like, we did get one, I don't remember if it was you or if it was me whenever we were playing it there, where, like, we shot a guy as he was trying to crawl away. Like, looks like we, like, winged him, and then he tries to, like, crawl away, but he's crawling away from us. And we shot him, like, like, his waist was here, and then so his dingleberries were, like, right here, and, like, we actually, like, went through, like, and just, like, caught nothing but bag, Yeah. Shooting a speedball with a 30-06.
Right up Main Street.
Yeah, dude. Just a kill. It's so terrible. I do. I enjoy that game though. I enjoy it a lot. I think it's extremely I like the attention to detail. I do find it extremely frustrating. I think that the bullet drop off is a little bit too intense.
What do you mean?
Well, like if you even if like you're not, if you just like use like regular scope and you're just looking at like 50 meters, like not 50 meters, like about 50 meters out, generally speaking, like the bullet's not going to drop that much.
Sure.
But like in this, it's like, you know, like if you're 50 meters out, like your crosshair is here, but like the bullet's going to drop down to here from 50 meters, and I'm like, that is intense drop. Like, what am I shooting out like small like brass rounds that have a little bit of a neutron star on them? So like each round is like 900 pounds. Like,
I feel like that's the way it is in Battlefield as well. Like, I mean, the entirety of every map in Battlefield 3 and 4 is like maybe a mile. It should not fucking drop as much as it does in Battlefield. I feel like if you're about maybe 100 yards away, it drops like a solid foot or two.
like it travels like if you're like 100 yards away, it's like traveling. Then you get to the 100-yard mark. It's like
Yeah, basically.
it's like it just kind of like, you know, it's like a lot of people like they're just like man, this is a really great idea. Nah, it's hard, and just give up halfway.
Yeah, that's the way I feel. That's why I fucking hate sniping in that game. I mean, why can't we have a happy meeting in Call of Duty? It's like, you know, it's a hit scan, so you wherever you point, that's where the bullet goes.
And
It's just,
that.
I mean, I hate it, but I like it better than fucking Battlefield.
I
like,
don't. I actually liked the Battlefield 3 where like you actually had to compensate for the weapon. So like, you know, you fire it and then you know it arcs down and you hit it. I loved that. But then like in Battlefield 4 they introduced the rangefinder, which is fine. Like if all it does is be like, you know, okay, they're 300 meters out. But but what it does in Battlefield is it sets that to 0.
yeah.
So then like it got to the, you know, you push V click. So then like as soon as you pushed V, you know, it zoomed in right on where that person was, and then you pulled the trigger and you didn't actually have to aim anymore. You didn't have to like compensate for anything. It was like pinpoint on from no matter where you're going. And I fucking hate that. Because then it's like that was part of the skill. Was like the bullet traveling, the bullet arcing, and then like trying to predict where your target was going. So like in Battlefield 3, whenever I used to snipe all the time, it was like, you know, you see like a guy running like way the fuck out there and you fire it, it's like, and you headshot him from fucking like 900 to 1,000 meters away, and just like that feeling of, oh, I loved
Yeah.
it. I mean, it was fantastic. But then like, you know, it felt like in Battlefield 4, you're like, and then you push V, and then, oh well, you know, he's dead. It's whatever.
See, I wanted a happy medium between the two. I mean, because like I said, it felt like in any of the Battlefield games, it was like I might as well just fucking pick up a bow and arrow, you know?
Well, I mean,
'Cause
like,
it's the
then
same
you
shit.
would like 4, and you would like Battlefield 1, because that's pretty much what you got. Because you push, like I said, you push V, it range finds, and then it becomes hit scan. And you know, as much as I'm loath for that, I mean, that is really the happy medium for the Call of Duty types.
Mm.
Even
Well,
though
maybe
like
then.
you know, they're like you play Battlefield 1 and you're like you have ye old sniper rifle, and then for some reason you have a rangefinder. Alan,
You have your own little personal fucking spotter.
yeah, pretty
Come
much.
along
I
with
mean,
you.
and it's very I don't know. I always thought that was kind of like whenever I did brief sniping in Battlefield 1, I was like, this feel. Well, I know the entire game is basically like. I mean, like if we're really like, it's not canon, I guess. I mean, like most of the weapons in there, you're like, I mean, like yeah, they existed eventually. But I mean, like this weapon wasn't even really like introduced until 4 years after the war. But you know, sure, let's fucking get everybody an assault rifle. I mean, I guess, or whatever. And
Shoot that DLC, dude.
yeah, I'm like, that's what like I was playing it, and I'm like, I love the idea of Battlefield 1 because I was like, oh man, trench warfare. Then you got like one guy who's lugging around a Browning LMG, and he has to set it up, and then he has to have people cover him, and I'm like, oh, it's fantastic because there can only really be like a couple of them, and they're garbage unless like, you know, you're set up and you're not gonna get flanked. No, I mean, like there's like you got a team of like 7 or 8 dudes that just carry him, and I'm like, that's not a thing. I mean, like if one guy was carrying it, he'd be like, oh god, oh, why is this thing so fucking heavy?
Yeah.
It's full of water, that's why.
Yeah,
I hated that.
I mean, I don't know, Battlefield 1. I felt like if it would have somehow given you more of a feeling of trench warfare, it would have been a fantastic game. I mean, like,
there was like zero. There was like zero
yeah,
trenches in it. I mean, and that was something I always felt was like really disappointing because I'm like, you have an opportunity to showcase the evolution of war in going from battle lines to a modern mechanized and mobile warfront, which is something that like no game up to this point has really done. Like especially like in
right,
first person online competitive. So then like you still have artillery, or you still have you haven't placed artillery. You have the really shitty tanks, which should have been really shitty tanks, but turns out they're unkillable death machines that are just absolutely bananas. But then
yeah,
you still got cavalry. And cavalry isn't like, like he's on a horse. No, they kill the shit out of you. They're fucking dangerous as shit. Because like the weapons were still kind of like in that weird, they're old, but they're not fast enough sometimes. Like if you didn't hit the horse guy immediately, he's probably going to cut your head off. And I love that. But then they're like, oh, but everybody's got bolt action rifles, sorta, until like, but then all of a sudden everyone had semi-auto, and you're like, that's not really, but okay. And then everyone had fully auto, and I'm like, okay, no. And then there are no trenches, and
yeah.
this isn't really World War One. This is just like Battlefield 4 with like a browner color palette.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
I didn't like it. I mean, I like the idea. It's funny because like almost nobody in that game ever uses horses, and that was another thing I didn't like about it. Is that like the few desert maps where you actually can use a horse, there's like 2 horses in the whole fucking map. I mean, like if you have horses, there needs to be like 20, just like a stable, and then like everybody gets on a goddamn horse, and then like you flank them from like the side where like everybody's all like trying to like line up and throw grenades or whatever, and then you have like a fucking a full on horde attack from like one side and just sweep through them. That'd have been phenomenal, because then it'd be something you actually have to be constantly worried about. Because like in this particular juncture, this particular battle, the British didn't really use horses, but the Ottomans did. So I mean, like that could have been something that differentiated the two, but no, they just I don't know. There's explosions, and then they had mustard gas, which was neat but weird.
That's shitty. I mean, that's one of the things I liked about the Command and Conquer games, like the Red Alert and the Red Alert Retaliation games. The difference between like the Soviets and the Allies, like the Allies would get like gap generators and shit, and spy planes, and the Soviets would get heavy ass tanks and Tesla coils. So I mean, they would have generally the same shit, like infantry and general tanks and shit. But when it got to the advanced stuff, it was very unique, and you had to play around that. But if everybody basically has the same shit, I mean, why have factions?
Yeah, I mean, it should just be like Group A versus Group B.
Yeah,
It becomes,
blue versus red.
Yeah, it becomes TF2.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like you just shoot the shit out of each other, and I'm like, and that was like I said, that's one of the things I felt very disappointed in Battlefield 1 with, because they really had an opportunity to showcase the individuality of each nation and how and why they fought, and instead they just made it your pretty average run and gun multiplayer deathmatch. I know Verdun is out, and Verdun is a World War One FPS, and I have not played it, but it looks really good. I think it's actually been released now, and that might be one that if anybody actually wants to try to do some real trench warfare type stuff, that'd be one that'd probably be pretty good, because the trench warfare for Verdun looks very, very good. And it looks like it's actually more accurate.
Might be something I might want to try out.
I mean, it's actually not. I mean, it's not a full $60 title either. I mean, that helps.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. These $60 games lately, especially these $60 games that are like not full games, like
what?
I don't know, like Street Fighter 5. That really pissed me off. I was like, you know what? I mean, Street Fighter 4 after, Super Street Fighter 4 and Ultra Street Fighter 4, Arcade Edition, all this shit came out. Eventually it became like a $25 game, because it had mercy on the people that bought all the previous fucking versions. And it's like, okay, we'll make this last version $25. And it was a great game. But then Street Fighter V came out, and it was like, all right, we're brand new. We're nothing like we were before. We're actually garbage.
Oh,
Don't have a
oh
don't
dear.
have a story mode. Don't have story mode, and you have like 9 characters. $60.
That,
And when the new characters come out, that's an extra $6 per character.
that's
Suck it.
crazy. I mean, I remember like I mean, for a fighting game, that's almost like a slap in the face to like the entire fan base.
Dude, it's dragging their nuts across everybody. Like, ugh. Like, come on. I don't understand. Like, and it's not like these are new characters that you've never seen before. We're talking like Guile is a downloadable character. You know?
I remember reading about that and just being like, that's pretty fucking heinous.
Yeah.
I mean, because like it's almost like they specifically kept out like fan favorites or older generation characters just so that they can DLC the shit out of it later, which is just fucking wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even be so mad if they like left Guile out, but you had like 20 characters to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
But we're like talking like 9, maybe 10.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
mean,
then-
like if there's a decent amount of them, going in, sure. But I mean, if you're having a fighting game that's specifically based on like the kind of characters that you have, and what you can do with them to limit you like that, especially in a competitive scene like Street Fighter, where you're trying to actually climb up a ladder, and you've only got like these many characters to really kind of like be familiar with. That's fucking awful.
Yeah. And then
Forward motion, forward punch, swipe credit card to Hadouken. Just like open up a tab so you can use skills.
basically. I know we bitched about this before, but I mean, it hasn't gotten any fucking better. Like, they're still doing this shit. And this is a year later, basically. They're still
Yeah.
fucking just bending over consumers because, why? Because people pay for it.
Yeah, and I got my own personal, one like $60 game cross to bear, and that's the Total War games. Because like Total War Warhammer did the exact same fucking thing, where it's like, and Rome 2 did the same thing, where like you have the game, it's like $60 and then they're like, but if you want to have the Wood Elves, here's $30. If you want the Beastmen, it's $15. If you want the Vampire Lords, it's $15. If you want like these additional features in the game, it's $6. And then Total War 2 is coming out in September, or Total War Warhammer 2 is coming out in September, which is going to piggyback onto Warhammer 1, so like it's just like a really, really big game. But I know they're going to be like, here's the Lizardmen and the High Elves, DLC or pre-order for the Dark Elves and for the Skaven and for, and I'm going to be like,
Yeah.
just make the game fucking available.
See, that's the thing. That's pretty much why I haven't bought that shit. I mean, specifically Total War, because I really want to fucking play Warhammer. I haven't played Warhammer since PlayStation 1. And I miss it. I miss it quite a bit. But I'm not going to fucking get bent over again with that shit. But
I love the Total War series so much. Every time it comes out, I just accept it, reach down, grab my shoelaces, and just let's do this. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. We're not going to make eye contact afterwards. Just give it to me and let me go.
yeah. See, I just can't do it. I've been burned twice. I was burned with Street Fighter V, and I also got burned with Fallout. What was it, 4?
I heard Fallout 4 was garbage anyway.
Fallout 4 is and was garbage. I might try it again. I don't know. There's been plenty of DLC for it, and unfortunately for me, I didn't get the fucking season pass.
I think season passes are like awful, especially like on. Did you ever play Evolve?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, like I never played it, but I saw where they advertised the season pass before they actually advertised the game.
Yes.
And they're doing that same thing with the new Assassin's Creed Origins. They're like, get the season pass, and then they talk about the features of the game. And I'm like, I mean, like, are there people out there that are so fucking hardcore about season passes that they're gonna be like, oh man, we need that season pass.
Yes, there is, and I hate them. Stop it.
Like, look,
Stop giving them money.
look, I pre-order stuff if it has cool special editions, but like, I'm not like, man, I want that season pass. Because if there's a game where I'm like, like, I don't know if I'm even gonna even enjoy the idea of this game, I'm not gonna pre-order it and be like, you know what I need the season pass.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
I don't think I've ever fucking bought a season pass. Like, I can't. It's like
I bought one on accident.
it's like you're basically buying a promise.
Yeah.
I promise you we're gonna come out with some awesome shit pretty soon. Give me money ahead of time. And you know. Good.
Do you remember like Battlefield 3 OG says only season pass I ever bought was for Borderlands 2 and those X-Backs were at least worth it. That's good.
It's good.
That's good. So Kyle and I were gonna try to play Battlefield Hardline.
Yeah.
And I was between jobs at the time, so then I bought Battlefield Hardline Premium. Now, if you've ever played any of the Battlefields previous to this, if you bought Premium, you paid more to buy the game and any expansion that came out afterwards. I spent $80 on Battlefield Hardline Premium. Then I'm like, where is game? I'm clicking around. I want to start uploading, so I want to start playing it or whatever. And turns out they flipped it. Premium is for all of the expansions. You don't get the original game. You still have to buy for $60 the original game. The $80 was for all of the fucking expansions afterwards. And I'm like, I was so fucking angry. Like, I was on the phone with Origin, and I was like, ma'am, I know it's not your fault. If you want to put the phone down for a minute, go for it. But I'm about to say some really heinous shit. And I was like, you can hang out for it if you want to, or you can walk away. I said, that is entirely up to you, but it needs to be said. And I proceeded to let her have it with both barrels.
Like, who the fuck does that? $80 plus 60? Like, come on. Come on. How fucking greedy are you? God.
I literally was so angry. I thought I was gonna have a fucking nosebleed. And then I bought the game. So then I bought the game. So now I went full bore. I spent the $60 and the $80. So now I have everything that this game's ever gonna fucking do. And then I played it, and it was fucking horrible. It was just the worst. It was the biggest piece of shit ever. And I'm like, and I spent like $140 fucking on this game.
See, that's why I don't pre-order. That's why I don't buy season passes anymore. Because you're doing nothing but fucking buying promises. It's a damn gamble. You shouldn't have to gamble on content. You should gamble in a casino. You know?
I mean, yeah, but like if it's got something cool, like a statue or a figurine.
No.
I will do it. You can't stop me.
If the game is garbage, I mean, even if the game is good, but they release nothing but garbage going forward, like the best case scenario is, yay, you bought something and you saved a few bucks by not waiting. Okay, good job. But the worst case scenario, and this seems to be the norm now, is you paid a lot of money and you got literal diarrhea from the internet.
Just like in a Ziploc bag.
Yeah. It's like, oh, thanks, it's warm.
Yay.
This is rubbing around a little bit.
Just for
give
you. I still love, like, I'll pre-order stuff that I think is going to be cool, but, like, I only pre-order shit if it's got, like, a cool-ass expansion, like, stuff. Like, I bought the $200 or $300 version of ESO Morrowind.
Yeah.
I said Morrowind. Deal with it. And
Morrowind.
I say Morrowind like I'm from Canada. We're gonna go down to Morrowind I can't even. I'm gonna kill myself. But it's got a
Just stop.
statue in it, and so we paid for that. I bought I pre-ordered games that I've have never or have no intention of playing before, just because the statues were cool, like Assassin's Creed Origins. I
Yeah,
bought on Xbox One that I don't have.
we're just gonna go ahead and skip right past that. Go on, Frank.
I feel like you're being judgy.
Look, the judging has already happened. It happened a year ago, so I don't even care anymore.
I don't know why he's so mad. Why does he
Oh, I'm
get
not
like?
even mad.
Why does he get like that?
I have repressed those emotions. Just move on. Let's keep on going.
Man, what else is coming out? Soonish.
Star Trek Bridge Experience.
Oh, Bridge Crew. That's out.
Bridge
But
Crew.
I'm really kind of loath to buy into a Vive
Why?
to, because it's really expensive.
Oh yeah. Other than
It's
that,
really expensive and like, like I have kids, so like I would be terrified. I'd be like, oh, I'm doing this thing. House is burning down around me. My kids are running down the hall with no clothes on. They're like slapping dirty hands on the walls and shit. And I'm just like, I'm in Star Trek. Just can't pay attention. And like I know myself too. Like if I didn't have anybody here with me, I'd be playing it, and every couple seconds I'd be
yeah. Just look at that. Yeah, I mean,
like I heard something. No,
you gotta peek out of that visor every now and then. You like Jordy, except for you can actually see.
I'm like Jordy, but I don't see things in that really weird monochrome Technicolor.
Spectrum. See, okay, so what if you could like get in there, and you walk yourself over to the holodeck, and then in the holodeck you put on an HTC Vive, and then you go into the game,
Oh,
and you
that's
go
too
into
deep.
the holodeck.
That's too
You
deep.
put on HTC Vive.
You should. You're watching your character watching you. You're watching your character watching you while you puke.
Yeah, dude.
That would be a Vive experience. It just get someone puking on you in the Vive.
We need to go deeper.
Oh man, I think that there are so many fun things that could happen with a VR headset.
Yeah.
I know that people have asked me to please buy one, please, 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 because we want you to play Subnautica in VR, and my heart says no.
You know what I'm
No,
saying
I'm
to
not
that
doing
though?
that.
I mean, so many people want you to do that. They need to donate a Vive or a VR headset
Or just
and
let me
stop
borrow
telling
it.
you to buy it. Or
Like,
even that. I mean,
just let me borrow it. I'll send it back.
like, hey,
I promise.
Hey Frank, I think you should go buy this $600 device for our amusement. Fucking pitch in.
I would. I mean, like, I if you know, like, because they're dropped in price right now. They're like $200 down. They're $399 plus you get Bridge Crew. So I mean, like,
Sure.
it is definitely at that point where it is time to consider it. But I'm not at a point where like right now I can. I would really like to.
I would like to.
Never borrow VR equipment that's Pink Eye City. Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, you only
That's
get
what I
pink
said.
You only get the pink eye the one time, and then you got the thing forever.
That's
Pink eye is
true.
temporary. VR headsets for
The
VR
memory.
headsets forever.
The memories forever.
Besides, if I get pink eye, that means that I don't have to go to work for a couple of days.
That's true. I mean, maybe soon, Frank will come over here, and we'll vibe together.
Hold my hand. Hold my hand. I'm gonna explore this reg, and
So
I'm gonna freak out. So
who's gonna be number one?
not you.
Okay, then I'll be the
You'll
captain,
you'll
and
be the engine guy.
you can be my number one.
No, you can be the ensign that is in charge of the engines, and telling us whether they're on or not. you can be in the shuttle bay going, the plane.
Let's move on. Move on
Yeah, I
impulse
bet.
power.
Huh?
We could just move over there on impulse power.
Set it to half impulse. I don't know what that means, but that's what he says.
Yeah,
Boop,
you
boop.
know.
I want that. I mean,
uh,
I love the interactions that I've seen for Bridge Crew, because like
Yeah.
you got the full hand thing,
Mm.
the videos of the. It's been terrible, but wonderful.
I mean, it could only get better, obviously.
I don't know, like I don't know how Subnautica would work with a VR headset. I'm sorry, I don't know how I would work with Subnautica with a VR headset, because like I've gotten a lot better about it, and I've gotten where like I'm a lot like I'm not as terrified. But
Yeah.
I mean, like Neil knows, because we played with the little Gear VR, and that's just with your fucking phone and like a pair of earbuds, and the immersion level was terrifying. Of some of the like horror games that were there. I mean, like the Vive is full, like you're touching shit, and you're moving, and like it's the full room. I mean, like
Yeah.
so like you're basically by yourself, and I so I mean, like how do you like how would you move in Subnautica? I mean, like, do you actually have to swim and then reach out and grab shit? Because that would be fucking awful. Because you like reach out to grab something and you're like, what? Snatch, carried away. Heart stops. Bowels just disgorge.
Look, fuck Subnautica. I mean, get up. I'd be getting up on that VR porn. And then
I actually don't think that I would.
then you can get that one of those automated
Oh, jerk off machines.
flashlights. Yeah, with a little piston in it. Just get the one with the suction cup to where you can point it towards your junk, and you just kind of sit there, and you put the mask on, and you're just like, it's just like the real thing. Okay, take it off. I'm done. I said, take it off.
that would be torturous. Tie somebody down and just leave it on there.
Just walk away for about an hour.
You come back, they're like a dried husk. I'd turn into that fucking the guy from the bad guy from the first Indiana Jones movie. Candle wax melt.
It's beautiful.
I one of the, I mean, I guess like it would work. I would do the VR port thing if there was enough blue chick porn. But
There is obviously enough blue chick porn.
no, that's not a thing. That's not true. That's not true at all. There's not enough at all.
Just adjust your tint levels.
That's not a bad idea. But no, one of the guys at work, he got me bad. He got me so bad because he was like, hey, and I said, what's up? And I started to tell him something work related, and then he was like, do you ever think about Charlize Theron painted blue? I'm like,
Why would you say that?
I figured it was useless for like an hour. Electric Master, what's up? Hello. We're talking about blue chick porn.
Blue chick VR porn.
Blue chick VR porn. It's important. Look. Shh, stop.
Don't you
Look,
fucking judge us.
Shh, stop. It's important. It's important to me. That's what's really important. I do know. I feel like I'm an authority.
I don't think you. Okay, so what games you asked earlier, but what other games are coming out that you might be looking forward to?
Destiny 2. It's coming out. Going to be out on PC.
Really?
What the hell is that? What's it called? It's something Sacrifice. It's a PlayStation 4 and PC title.
Oh, hold on. Side note. I know you've already gone through it. I haven't gone through it yet, though. But how about that Castlevania on Netflix?
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Hellblade, Suna's Sacrifice. That looks like it's going to be good. It's going to be on PC, too. I loved Castlevania.
Yeah.
It's only 4 episodes, though, which I was very disappointed. I was really hoping that it would be much longer. Obviously, Richard
Sure.
Armitage, who played Thorin Oakenshield in the Hobbit movies, plays Dracula.
Nice.
So I mean, he is very intense. Electric Master says, "Well, I've been looking through the NES library recently, found some lesser known ones worth trying out. Like what?"
Yeah, tell us. Trust me, I'm a fucking NES nerd.
That's Neil's bag. He will definitely try whatever NES game you want him to try.
If I haven't already.
Yeah, but no, it was exceptionally. Not only was it very well done, it looked the art quality was on par, I would say, with almost every DC movie. It looked to me like they watched a lot of DC uh, animated movies and were like, okay, this is the kind of direction that we're gonna go, because the action was great, the animation quality was great, the art direction was great, everything was very very Castlevania esque, while still being like in a believable, um, not quite Renaissance, Gothic period world, and
Yeah.
it had a lot of the occult in it. It had the Belmont name being recognized. It had Trevor Belmont, who was much more interesting, which doesn't take a lot, considering that Trevor Belmont in the original Castlevania was just kind of nah.
Yeah,
He's a non-character,
sure.
but in this one he's very believable. He, like, in between Castlevania jaunts or demon slayings, he is a fucking wreck. I mean, he's an alcoholic. He absolutely hates the church. He hates people, but like he can't help but try to help people, even
Sure.
though he fucking hates them. It's great. I mean, it's really really funny, and like he has some really funny moments in it. And I read a Kotaku article where they were bitching about how, like, they felt like the transitions were very jarring between, like, where, like, you have Dracula and then you have the stuff with Trevor, and I'm like, well, yeah, because Dracula is virtually omnipotent demonic force who was trying to live as a person, and now he's pissed off. So you're not going to have any connection. I mean, like, because rational people, as a human being, something has happened that upsets me greatly. You don't go from, I'm upset to genocide, like Dracula does. So, like, there's nothing there
Sure.
for you to identify with.
Okay.
So, I mean, it makes sense that, like, you would go from a scene with Dracula where you're like, well, like, wow, holy shit, this is really intense. And then you go to Trevor, whose thoughts and ambitions are very terrestrial, where he's like, I need to drink enough to pass out, and I need to go find a tree to sleep under. And then all the shit that he does, where like they're like, oh, but just it felt so out of place and it felt so weird. And I'm like, you're talking about going from a near god to a dude that's like a vagabond. I mean,
Sure.
there is no connection there other than that. So
That's
so
interesting.
I'm like, well, of course it's going to be different.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to feel jarring, because I mean, like, anything shy of another omnipotent being will feel totally fucking different. So it will be weird no matter what happens. So, but going from, to me, it felt perfect, because like you go from Dracula, who is near omnipotent and is fucking evil, to the Belmont, who is, not
Just a man.
just a dude, but like at the same time, a dude who's like, at some point is gonna put his life on the line to try to fight a fucking near omnipotent demon overlord. I mean, which to me made it even more important, because I'm like, he's a guy who right now he's worried about where he's gonna pee, and that he has enough drink in him to pass out tonight from the shit that he'd been seeing,
Yeah.
and then how to get home. I mean, or get to the next town. So I'm like, I love that. I love all of that. To me, that was fantastic.
That is fantastic. I mean, I've been planning to say this since we started talking about Castlevania, but it kind of ties in. What is a man?
Yeah.
A miserable pile of secrets? I mean, he sees man as fucking so fucking insignificant, and that right there just explains it perfectly. I didn't even really think of it that way until you just explained it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that line was just interesting to me, but I mean, now it makes so much more sense. That's awesome. I'm super stoked to watch that now.
Because I mean, in like the, I love that they are following the NES games,
Sure.
and I say that specifically because like the Lords of Shadow would make more sense because it's newer for
Mm-hmm.
them to follow, but that they're not following that, to me it is more interesting, and it's more important because the Lords of Shadow, the the twist in Lords of Shadow, no spoilers, is so obvious that it would be painful to watch it be recreated over a long period, like watching a Netflix show,
Sure.
and it would be very frustrating. The thing about doing the NES version is that they are able to expand on the the Castlevania lore in such a way that they bring in multiple characters that you hear of during the course of Castlevania, like as a series, and then
Sure.
you actually get to experience them as as a fully fleshed out character versus like like we just mentioned this person and now uh, we just mentioned this person, this was his cloak. Oh, okay. But like in this case, like you actually have like a full fleshed out lore story for each individual person.
And that's definitely fantastic because in the older, obviously the older Nintendo games, I mean, there wasn't really much room for story. I mean, it was a side scroller. It was an action game, so the story itself was just like in like the Metroid and Super Metroid games. It was told in the environment. Well, I mean, with an actual TV show, an actual movie-esque type thing, you can expand on it without taking away from what the game had laid out because obviously the game was limited by hardware. It was limited by what they could do back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think that's fantastic. I mean, say for example they were to do something like Metroid, um, and like a Netflix series. I think it would be very similar. You would still get the feeling of isolation just like you would if you were looking at a movie like Alien, for example, to where you had to look at things through Ripley's eyes, and you had to see the environment and wait for the fucking crazy ass alien to pop out of somewhere. And I mean, you look at that in game form, and it would translate perfectly to like just a standard side scroller, and it did. I mean, the Alien games are fantastic.
They actually were surprisingly good. Electric
So
Master says it seems the episode count for Castlevania show might seem disappointing, but I guess they wanted to play it safe. Tell all you need to tell and expand on later, maybe. That's pretty much exactly what they're gonna do. They have to. They set it up because of the very again, no spoilers, but the last episode just left on such a way where it's just now getting started. And I think Netflix fucking knew that there is no way in hell that it was gonna fail. I mean, they would have to screw it up in such a way that they would have to completely like bastardize the characters. I'm looking at you, Other M, and in the storytelling to make it that way. But I mean, again, it was like with Other M, you're talking about like making a Metroid series, and for Netflix, they could do it, but they would need to do it in a way different than Other M. Did you ever play that?
no.
They actually tried to give it a story, and they gave it like FMVs and cutscenes and shit like that, and that's fine. But Metroid is always about like you have a stoic character in Samus that's going through her job as a bounty hunter and saving the galaxy, etc. But then in Other M, they actually try to give her like a backstory and a history, and they ended up making her like a fucking really whiny bitch.
Really?
And I was like, I hate this because it ruins my perception of Samus.
Hmm.
And everybody literally felt the same way, to the point where people basically were like Other M wasn't really canon.
Huh.
And when your fan base tells you that they're denying its legitimacy, I mean, you probably should have ran that by somebody.
Yeah, like I don't know, a focus group, anything.
Yeah, literally anything. I mean, anything would have been better than what you did. But
Yeah.
they've only got 4 episodes of Castlevania. I will say, yeah, I mean, because like I told people at work, and this is something that I've had to deal with a couple of times, where I mention animated anything. Whenever I talk about anime, I always say animated to them, because if I say anime, they're like, I
Yeah.
don't understand what you mean. And I mean, like one of them does, but like the other guys, like I try to explain like these stories to them, like these very very adult themed stories, and they're like, that sounds really cool. I'm like, yeah, it's it's an animated show, and they're like, you know, and I'm like, why is it just because it's animated means that it immediately no longer matters? So then like, yes, Castlevania is animated. It is so fucking violent. It's unbelievable. I mean, like the amount of viscera that is thrown around liberally in this show is unbelievable. At one point, I'm not even kidding, they steal a fucking child out of a crib, and the demons are running around with it in its mouth, just torn to pieces, just running all over the place. And I'm like, it's a fucking baby. I mean, like the baby's like maybe 3-4 weeks old.
Oh
And
God.
I mean, like, and that's the show. And I was like, that's Castlevania. Because
Yeah.
whenever Dracula says, I'm going to kill every human in this country, he isn't holding back. So then,
Right.
like, you have, like, men, women, children, literally, like, there are scenes where, like, there's, like, an 8-year-old girl running, and she straight up gets disemboweled by a demon. And it's fucking violent as hell. And I'm trying to explain to, like, these guys, like, that it's just, the show is extremely violent. It's very adult. It's very good though, and it's very deep in like its story. And they're like, "Yeah, I know, but it's a cartoon." I'm like, "But like, why? But what? I mean, like, I don't. What do you mean by that?" I'm like,
Right.
I don't understand.
No, I run into that all the time too. And it's just like there's, as soon as people, I don't know, people hear what they want to hear, and as soon as they fucking hear the word cartoon or the word animation, they're like, I'm an adult, so I ain't got time for that shit. I watch adult things, so you
Yeah.
deal with your childish shit, and it's fuck you, you know.
Electric Master says, to me it seems they attempted to go for the PTSD route for Samus and other M, but I think it would have worked far better had it been set earlier in the timeline, like having other M take place very early on in Samus's life as opposed to just after Super Metroid. I agree with that for the most part, except for that, like, even if you did that, it still would have ruined the perception of her being the hard, not so much hardened, but like the, doing this because I got to do this stoic character versus the, like, isn't my life so horrible? Doesn't everyone hate me? Isn't it an awful character that they portrayed in Other M, which I found extremely disappointing. And Real Stunt Panda says, how does Dracula decide where the borders are? Does he use new or old maps? This goes semi off of semi off history, where in this case the setting for Castlevania is Wallachia in 1455. In history, Dracula was actually the crown prince and de facto king of Wallachia, so he actually already knows where the borders are. So I guess I would say it would probably uses old and new maps, because in the Castlevania timeline, Dracula is not only near omnipotent, but is also a big proponent of the sciences because he hates God. And that was actually kind of like where it starts off at, because never mind. I'm not gonna get into it because it's spoilers. But he uses, I guess he could use both new and old maps, but having formerly been the sovereign regent of the area, he probably also knows where the borders are, because that's
Also, I
where
doubt he's gonna be splitting hairs. I mean, who fucking cares? It's genocide. Just keep
right.
killing.
No, I mean he very specifically says Wallachia for reasons that, I mean, like, it was the Catholic Church that kills his wife, so I'm like, you're gonna stop at Wallachia? That's kind of surprising. I mean, like, I actually think people are getting off pretty light, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you go south, you hit the Ottoman Empire, and there's a whole bunch of fucking people down there you could kill. I mean, hell, you've already been doing it.
Yeah.
That's rude. If you just bought a farm just inside the border, well, then you're going to die.
You shouldn't have done that, dude.
You shouldn't have been there. I don't know why he was. I mean, like, that was the one thing that I was like, that's very specific. Like, people of Wallachia, I'm going to kill all of you. Like, just Wallachia? Just that? I mean, just that one bit? I mean, like, because
For starters.
Wallachia really wasn't all that heavily populated to begin with. I mean, that's why,
Yeah.
like, he didn't, historically, this is where I get, like, my history banner out. Like, that's why he had to do all the horrible things that he did in order to frighten the Turks from invading from the south, because, he didn't have much to work with, because there weren't that many
Yeah.
people. So, I mean, like, now, in this context, it's like, okay, so then there's still not that many people, because there's really not a whole lot there. It's very mountainous, and there's a lot of black forest that's really untamed. So then, like, why don't you go north? Why don't you go west? I mean, there are so many places you can go and you can murder like probably double the amount of people. I mean, if you're going for body count as being like your modus, then I mean, like, go south. The Turks are all there. There's fucking tons of them. Constantinople's not that fucking far away. I mean, like, just if you want to move Castlevania and just rack up like a hell of a body count, destroy the capital of Wallachia and then immediately move over to Constantinople and be like, "What's up, guys?" and then just kill everyone.
Sure.
Electric Master says, also, I think there is this perception that cartoons are meant for kids and not adults is because of stuff like Minions and modern SpongeBob, which cater exclusively to kids as opposed to being all-inclusive, as in stuff which both kids and adults can enjoy. You know, it's funny that you say that, because I watch a lot of stuff with my kids, and I know that it's not a cartoon, but Sesame Street is pretty fucking adult. In a lot of ways. They make some adult jokes where I'm just like, that just happened. They had a Game of Thrones joke. They called it a game of chairs, and they killed a guy.
Yeah, you said that before.
Did I? Yeah, someone died in Sesame Street, and then they had the Sons of Anarchy thing. I mean, it's so fucking funny to me. I mean, like, whenever like you have kid cartoons and in kid shows, and they have like noticeably adult jokes. Shrek, the DreamWorks guys, like Shrek and stuff, were fucking notorious for like just nonstop adult jokes, and kids were like, "Ha! I don't know why I'm laughing," and adults were like,
"Oh my god!
I can't believe he just said that."
Yeah.
I love stuff like that, though. I mean, like, I love it because it's like, you know, it's like whenever you have a bunch of adults in a room for a kid's birthday party, and a kid says something, and then an adult makes like a, you know, that's what she said joke, and the kids laugh because they feel like they should, but all of the adults are laughing harder because they actually know what the fuck he's talking about.
Right.
And I love that. It's like an inside joke.
That's what makes it worth watching those. I mean, rather than just taking a fucking nap anytime you go to see a animated show with your kid. I mean, you go watch Minions or some fucking movie just like that, and it's just like, here we fucking go. But no, I mean, they do, like, they pepper in some adult jokes there, otherwise it'd be boring as shit, you know? So, I appreciate that. I really do. Because that shit's boring.
Let's see. Electric Master says, making shows and movies like that are a far cry from Walt Disney, who didn't make animated movies for kids. He made animated movies that anyone can enjoy, whether you were 6 years old or 60 years old. That's true. But Walt Disney, despite all of his foibles of being being an extreme social reprobate, was very much ahead of his time in presentation of art as an animated medium. And I think that the way that he presented his art and his message, a lot of times even in unspoken ways, was something that what was and is something that people should continuously learn from. Because I mean, like, you know, he and his teams from way back in the day proved that you don't even need dialogue to tell a fantastic story. That
sure,
like you said, anyone between 6 and 60 could enjoy. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are; it's still fantastic. And Real Stone Panda says a line from They Might Be Giants song. And yes, I did know that Istanbul is Constantinople. Constantinople was the OG of the Byzantine Empire.
OG, oh shit.
Yeah, it was. It's all fun and games until Attila knocks down the wall and then cuts people up. Did you know that?
Oh shit.
That hurt. I shouldn't have did that.
No, you probably shouldn't. It's all that fat.
It is all that fat, dude. Fat's got a lot of nerve endings and it hurts. It hurts a lot.
It don't feel good.
But that being said, Castlevania is fucking amazing. You guys, anybody should watch it. Everybody should watch it. I made the mistake of watching it with my daughter and proved that she was definitely my daughter because she's gonna be 2 soon, and she watched a grown cartoon woman get torn in half and get her guts thrown all over the place, and she sat there and belly laughed for about 5 minutes. and it was fucking awesome and horrifying.
I-
And I probably shouldn't have let her watch it. I did.
I'm strongly concerned for her.
Yeah.
She's gonna set things on fire.
It was definitely, it was pretty savage, but it was enjoyable. I loved it. I mean, the acting's fucking top notch. The action's wonderful.
I'll probably watch it here pretty soon.
You should. You definitely should.
Well, let's wrap it up, Frank. What do you think?
I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. We got some good things.
We are. This was actually not too bad. We obviously winged it. We didn't really have a whole lot.
We were just so happy to finally be back doing it again.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we like to be here and perform for you guys. And even if we don't have a strong topic, we can really chat for hours on end about anything.
I mean, like, as long as we're not like, you know, because we had the option of podcasting from a hotel room, and I wasn't about that. I did not want to do that. It would have been terrible.
Yeah, I mean, we still want to bring you quality shit, obviously, but at the same time, we don't want you to have to wait for a month. So, one way or another, we get you some stuff, and we appreciate you guys for dropping by and hanging out with us. And for those of you who are listening podcast-wise, like, you know, audio only, we appreciate your, you know, you waiting for us, your patience, for sure. Hopefully we will be a little bit more steady going forward, and we'll have some better stuff, even though tonight was pretty damn good itself. So with that said, we thank you very much for dropping by. If you liked what you heard or saw, please like, rate, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, visit our website, www.dastardlygentleman.com. Updated sometimes. I'm not going to tell you last time I updated it, but it was a while ago. You know, it was a while ago. It's like, what, 4 or 5 months ago, you know, something like that. This, but still, I mean, we've got a live feed there of our live videos and our, you know, our podcast. So that on its own updates automatically without our intervention. So set it as your homepage. I know you won't. I wouldn't. But do it anyways.
Consider it. Consider it as an option.
With that being said, thanks for watching again. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I don't have any intro music, so you have to kind of...
Look at this photograph.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh. Okay, bye.